This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by SACL CAI. They collect with respect. Okay, so they're actually they're considering 2 new charges against you after they dropped those 2 other charges?
Yes. Basically, they're using it to point to, because, like, as an example, I was waiting for the PSI meetings to happen there, so I can do it, face to face, and I can get my side of the story out and let them know, hey, this is what's really going on. I don't want to change it over the phone type stuff. I want to be able to sit down and look, these are the facts, these are the facts. These are the people that can tell you and tell you that nothing, and that I was doing my own peace efforts, my own missions. Well, after the fact, had nothing to do with this stuff that they're trying to charge me with, or they had charged me with. Then, after those meetings were done, like I said, those were the PSI meetings, I was going to ask for my bail hearing, and my attorney is saying that he doesn't want me to ask for a bail hearing because he feels, and probably rightly so, that if I ask for my bail hearing, since they dropped against me, they don't have any excuse anymore to say how I'm dangerous, which they never had one in the first place, because even though they had the gun charge against me, they never said how I was threatening anybody with them. I was never, they were saying basically my military training was why I was a danger to society, even though they never showed one incident ever. By the way, this is my first arrest. They never was able to show at any point that I was ever a danger to anybody, or I even tried harming anybody. And contrary to the fact, all the peace efforts I've had since 2006, they just totally dismiss it, saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter. You're trained. To the military. That's all there is to it." And that was the reason for holding me without bail. Since they dropped that, I'm now progressed into basically what people's views are of our country and what their personal views are. Are we on the right track, as they like to say on the news and stuff like that, with our foreign policies, with our, our personal economic, responsibility to ourselves and to our people.
So I'm sorry, I had the recorder stopping me for a second there, but I guess your answer to my question was that the main thing you thought people could do is to be vocal, just right where they are. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. Okay. In the little areas.
Well, now, do you still consider yourself an Ed Brown supporter? I know some of us, kind of, when we heard some of the threats he was making, we had to kind of change our positions on him, and of course you were actually thrown out of his house. Do you still consider yourself an Ed Brown supporter?
It's like the variety of people that came and talked to me there. A lot of them got turned away for one reason or another, because of Ed's, personal views or spiritual views, or there was usually what happened was once they met, there was a falling out one reason or another. I talked to them and I'd be like, look, I understand this is an upsetting situation, but your cause is still, I won't say righteous, but your cause is still just. Don't take a personal, attack on you, and say, oh, screw this whole situation. I don't want to have anything to do with these people anymore, and then just drop the whole cause. A lot of people are like, yeah, I understand that he doesn't speak for everyone, that he doesn't speak for for everyone's views, and they sort of took that in and went on forward with it, like I did. I still believe that the federal income tax is basically a huge form of enslavement, and being able to go forward with that and talk about it, and kind of every once in a while, people have a hard time back to Ed Brown and Elaine and saying, look, this is what happened to them, and this is what they're standing for, and
you have 1 minute left.
And I'm not going to go into like the whole, oh, he did this to me, I heard he did that to that people. I leave that out. I just say, hey,
Reno, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it looks like we've only got 1 minute left. Is there anything you'd like to add that I haven't asked you about?
The thing I would like to get out the most was basically how there's a lot of people that are feeling that there's not enough support for a real movement, if you will. A lot of people feel when I talk to them about like September 11th, when I talk to them about the tax issues and stuff like that, for obviously the 9/11 truth movement, and of course the tax truth movement. A lot of them feel like, okay, yeah, we know this. I've actually run into people that are like, yeah, I know that. I know the government had a hand in what happened to September 11th, or I know that the taxes are wrong, and I've actually met multi-generational, they're like, oh yeah, my grandfather, my father, and myself are all against it, but no one really, there's no real support behind it, there's no real talking. I'm like, no, there's protests all the time. There's actually marches going on all the time, throughout the year. You guys just don't hear about it because the media blocks it out. And then a lot of people feel isolated. A lot of people feel like they're powerless to really affect change, and that's not really the case. It's mostly because a lot of us are sort of isolationists, if you will. We all want to be left alone, so we really don't go out and venture into finding groups because we were happy to be our own selves and have our own families, and we just want to be left alone to live our lives happily. And,
so what you're trying to say is that the tax protest movement and the 9/11 truth movement are bigger than people realize.
Yes, they're huge, just huge, and every year it just gets more and more obvious. An example is what the truth for Aaron Russo's American Freeze or Fascism. They're actually passing that DVD. They make copies of it in Iraq, and they're actually running around passing these DVDs to each other, trying to spread the truth among themselves, because it all ties in with the Federal Reserve, and it all ties in with September 11th. It all ties into the government being controlled by the banking institutions and the oil companies. How they're all wrapped up into it, and they're not stupid. They're running around. CID is actually running around trying to find these people who are making these copies and distributing them over there. And I know they're doing it because firsthand I had a guy run up into the office one day and gave it to me and said, hey, pass this to another soldier.
I want anyone caught with one of those masks arrested. Dispatches like this one would not be possible without the generous support of companies like SACL CAI. SACL CAI is a collections company that does collections a whole new way. They know that not only do you want your money back, you want to keep your customers. SACL CAI. They collect with respect.